Debt Lesson 6, Medical Bills. In this lesson, you'll learn about monthly health insurance payments, insurance deductibles, why coverage plans vary widely in price, and what happens when you can't pay. Health coverage in the US isn't cheap and it can be extremely confusing. We're going to do our best to break it down so that you can understand why so many Americans have debt from medical bills even though they have medical insurance. If your parents have medical insurance, you can stay on their insurance until you're 26 years old, and we highly recommend that you do. Medical bills can be outrageous, especially if something bad happens and you're uninsured. I know you're young and probably think you're invincible, but the reality is that you're going to need to see a doctor at some point in your life for something. Most of the people who have medical debt can't afford to pay it. According to Debt.com, as of 2021, half of Americans have at least $1,000 in debt from medical bills, and 21% of Americans owe at least $5,000 or more in medical debt. That's 1 out of every 5 people. You might be wondering, if people have medical insurance, then why do they have so much medical debt? And one of the biggest reasons why people carry debt from medical bills is due to high deductibles. A deductible is an amount you owe before insurance kicks in and pays the rest. Most insurance plans have high deductibles. If you or your parents use the Affordable Care Act for your insurance plan, the average annual deductible is $4,364. That means you have to pay $4,364 out of pocket in a year before insurance will kick in and pay the rest. The average annual deductible across all types of medical insurance is higher and comes in at a whopping $5,940. It's common for people to choose a higher deductible amount because they pay less money per month for their medical insurance. Just like with auto insurance, the higher the deductible, the lower the payment. The lower the deductible, the higher the payment. According to 2020 U.S. Census Bureau data, Americans spend an average of $12,530 between deductibles and monthly insurance payments per year. And while medical insurance can protect you from excessive healthcare costs, the monthly payments are expensive, and you still have to cover the deductible amount before your insurance kicks in and pays the remainder of the bill. In some cases, insurance won't even cover the entire bill, which brings us to another reason why people have medical bills. Having insurance doesn't mean that insurance covers everything. It usually covers a portion of the bill, and then whatever amount is left over is the patient's responsibility to pay. So what happens if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have an emergency fund, and you have to go to the hospital for something serious? Well, not only were you living paycheck to paycheck before, but now you have to pay for the insurance deductible too. And if you don't have insurance at all, you won't be turned away for treatment, but you will be billed for the entire amount of your visit. If you can't afford to pay, your bill will get sent to collections where it'll drag down your credit score until you pay it off. There are 3 different types of insurance plans: individual plans, employer-provided plans, and government plans. Individual plans are where an individual purchases their plan directly from an insurance company. Employer-provided plans are where the employer will typically share the cost of medical premiums with you, which means your insurance would cost less than if you bought it directly from the insurance company. And then there's government plans, which are run by federal, state, or local governments where people have some or all of their healthcare costs paid for by the government. The main 2 types of health insurance that the government provides to the public are Medicaid and Medicare. Medicaid provides health coverage to millions of Americans, including eligible low-income adults, children, pregnant women, elderly adults, and people with disabilities. Medicaid is administered by the states according to federal requirements. The program is funded jointly by the states and the federal government. Medicare is a federal program for ages 65 and older and certain younger people with disabilities that provides hospital insurance, medical insurance, and prescription drug coverage. Insurance is considered affordable if it costs 10% or less of your annual income. So if you make $40,000 per year, then paying $4,000 a year for insurance is considered affordable. Individual medical plans are by far the most expensive way to have medical coverage, with an average of $541 per month. Employer-provided plans are significantly cheaper since the employer pays a large portion of costs. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, in 2020, the average insurance plan was around $104 per month for employees who worked for large companies. That amount can go up drastically if you work for a smaller company. There are a lot of different factors that go into how much you'll pay for medical insurance, from state and federal laws to how much money you make, the size of the company you work for, and the type of coverage you want. Insurance plans are not created equal. What might cost you $150 in one state could cost you $830 in another state. In this lesson, you learned about monthly health insurance payments, insurance deductibles, why coverage plans vary widely in price, and what happens if you can't pay for medical debts. There's a lot more to learn about medical insurance than we covered in this lesson, but at least now you have a better understanding of why people struggle with medical debt even though they have medical insurance. In the next lesson, you're going to learn about what payday loans are, why they're so bad to use, what happens when you can't pay them back, and how people get trapped in their dangerous cycle of debt.